The city glowed a late autumn hush as Clara Vance adjusted the sleeves of her charcoal dress, standing before the ornate mirror of her apartment. Her reflection stared back, composed, professional, but hollow around the eyes. Tonight was her sister's baby shower, an event wrapped in pastel ribbons and emotional landmines. The invitation had read, "Family celebration," but Clara knew what it meant. A parade of questions about her lonely life. As she drove through the wet streets toward the suburban house she once called home, memories flickered like headlights through fog. Childhood laughter, shared birthdays, her mother's constant reminders that being too ambitious could scare men away. She inhaled, exhaled, and whispered to herself, "It's just one evening." But deep down she knew something about this night would not let her leave unchanged. Inside, warmth and chatter surround Clara like a foreign language. Pastel ribbons drape from chandeliers, laughter bubbles from wine glasses, and the scent of vanilla frosting fills the air. Lila glides between guests, hand resting on her pregnant belly like a queen among courtiers. "You made it," she beams, kissing Clara's cheek with rehearsed sweetness. Their mother swoops in next, her praise flowing toward Lila, her polite nod toward Clara an afterthought. As conversations circle around marriage, children, and the right order of things, Clara's polite smile becomes a shield. She glances at the gift table, dozens of presents wrapped in gold and pink, and feels herself fading into the wallpaper. Marianne's voice carries over the music. "Lila, darling, everyone's been asking how you're feeling. You're glowing." Clara listens, unnoticed. Every compliment to her sister feels like a soft reprimand to her own existence. When an aunt leans in and whispers, "You'll find someone, Clara. You're too lovely not to." She forces a laugh. The sound catches in her throat like a splinter. She sips her drink, feeling it burn. The taste of restraint and quiet rage. Lila's husband is late. The guests gossip lightly, speculating with amusement. Clara hears someone joke, maybe he's escaping before diaper duty. She smiles faintly, unaware of how that laughter will soon twist into something else. For now, the evening hums with polite cruelty, the kind that hides behind perfect smiles and Pinterest decorations. From the corner of the room, Evelyn catches Clara's eye. Her friend's soft smile cuts through the noise, silent reassurance that someone sees her. "You okay?" Evelyn mouths. Clara nods, barely. A toast begins, glasses clinking, laughter swelling. But outside, thunder murmurs, low and distant. The storm is coming, and when it breaks, it will wash everything false into the light. The party pulses around her like a carefully staged play, every laugh rehearsed, every compliment choreographed. Clara sits at the edge of the living room couch, polite and motionless, while conversations drift like perfume. Someone mentions engagements, another giggles about marrying up, and the circle turns toward her, expectant. Lila leans in with feigned innocence. "Clara's married to her work, aren't you?" The laughter is light, harmless on the surface, but Clara feels its weight. Her mother chuckles, a sharp, proud sound. She always was the career girl. Maybe one day she'll slow down and give us something to celebrate. The words sink deep. Clara swallows her response, her smile brittle as glass. Outside, rain streaks down the window like veins of silver, echoing the tension running through her chest. Clara excuses herself to the kitchen under the pretense of fetching more plates. The chatter fades as she steps into the quieter light. Here, the clinking of glass and hum of the refrigerator offer brief sanctuary. She rests her hands on the marble counter, breathing slowly. Behind her, muted laughter spills from the doorway. Laughter she knows too well. A framed photo catches her attention. Lila in her wedding dress, smiling beside her husband. The same husband who once whispered to Clara, that he couldn't imagine a life without her. The memory strikes like a match, its flames swallowing air. Her reflection in the photo's glass seems foreign. A stranger standing in a home that used to be hers. Evelyn finds her there, quiet among the hum of appliances. "You okay?" she murmurs. Clara forces a smile, but her voice is low, steady. "It's fine. I'm used to it." Evelyn's eyes soften. She's seen Clara hold her composure like armor before. "They don't mean to hurt you," Evelyn offers. Clara exhales a short, hollow laugh. Intent doesn't erase impact. From the other room, Marianne's voice rings out, calling for another toast. The sound slices through the calm. Clara straightens, slips back into her mask, and whispers, "Showtime." When Clara returns, Lila is at the center again, laughter sparkling around her like glass beads. "Let's play a game," someone suggests. "Guess which of us will be next to have a baby?" All eyes swivel, and Clara feels the heat of attention. "Oh, come on," Lila teases. "Clara's too busy for babies. She'd probably forget to feed it between meetings." The laughter that follows isn't cruel by accident. It's deliberate, hungry. Clara's lips twitch in what could be mistaken for amusement. Inside, her pulse drums with quiet rage. She takes a slow sip of champagne, tasting the bitterness of restraint. Somewhere deep inside her chest, something begins to shift, not break, but wake. The evening thickens. Rain drums harder against the windows, echoing the pulse in Clara's temples. As guests drift toward the dessert table, her mother corners her. "You should learn from your sister," Marianne says gently, the kind of gentle that wounds. "You can't build a life out of blueprints, Clara. People need people." Clara's gaze doesn't waver. "And some people need boundaries," she replies softly. Marianne's smile falters. But before she can respond, the doorbell rings. Lila's husband has arrived, and with him, a truth that will turn this evening to ash. The front door opens, and the room shifts. Laughter dissolves into polite silence. Raindrops cling to the man's shoulders as he steps inside, tall and confident, shaking off the storm. His voice, familiar, sends a current through Clara before her eyes even find him. And when they do, time fractures. David. Her David. The man who vanished 3 years ago without goodbye. Now he stands in her mother's home, arms sliding easily around her sister's waist, pressing a kiss to her cheek as if he belongs there. Clara's heart slams once, hard, before freezing into stillness. No one notices the tremor in her hand, the microsecond of disbelief before composure takes hold. She forces a breath. The storm outside growls, as if the world itself recoils at the sight. Introductions flow, laughter returns, but Clara hears nothing. The air seems thinner, the light harsher. Every detail burns into her. The way he touches Lila's back, the familiar cadence of his laugh. Her mind floods with fragments, his hand tracing her blueprints late at night, the text that never came, the years spent wondering why. He looks older now, sharper around the jaw, but the same ghost haunts his eyes. For a heartbeat, his gaze meets hers. Confusion flickering before recognition, he freezes. She smiles, small, deliberate, deadly polite. "Congratulations," she murmurs. "Clara, I didn't realize you were family," she finishes softly. "Neither did I." Dinner begins. Candles, chatter, clinking silverware. But Clara's world narrows to a dull hum. Every word from David sounds rehearsed, every compliment to Lila like an echo of something once whispered to her. She studies him with clinical calm, dissecting the stranger he's become. When their mother praises his success, he laughs modestly. his gaze flicking to Clara. Fleeting, guilty. Beneath the table, her fingers tighten around her napkin until her knuckles pale. The past claws at her throat, but she swallows it whole. She will not break here. Not in their house. Not in front of him. As dessert is served, the conversation turns to love stories. How couples met, how they knew. Lila glances at David, her tone syrup sweet. We met at the firm he used to work for. Instant connection, she says, eyes twinkling. Clara feels the lie slice through her. The revision of history crafted for applause. She tilts her head, voice quiet, but cutting through the laughter. Really? I used to know someone from that firm. Small world. A pause, subtle but seismic. David shifts, his spoon clinking against porcelain. The table chuckles politely, unaware of the tremor beneath her words. For the first time that night, Clara feels the power tilt. Slightly, but unmistakably, in her favor. Later, as laughter rises again, Clara slips outside to the porch. The rain has softened to mist, the night heavy with petrichor. She leans against the railing, breathing the cool air like an antidote. Inside, silhouettes move against golden light, laughter muffled by glass. She can see them. The happy couple, her mother's pride. The curated perfection. For the first time, she doesn't envy it. She sees it for what it is. Fragile theater. In the reflection of the window, her own face looks older, stronger. The ache remains, but beneath it, something new stirs, a quiet, deliberate clarity. She isn't done yet. The storm has only begun. The rain's rhythm fades beneath the sound of clinking glasses. Inside, the guests gather for the final toast, that curated crescendo of praise. Clara steps in quietly, her calm so complete, it feels like a silence made solid. Lila beams beside David, hand on her rounded belly, basking in applause. Their mother wipes a tear, proud and oblivious. To family, someone declares. Crystal chimes. Clara lifts her glass too, her reflection rippling in its pale gold surface. To family, she echoes softly. A vow, not a toast. The air thickens as she steps closer, smile intact. Beneath the chandelier's warm light, the mask begins to crack. Not hers, but theirs. May I? Clara asks suddenly, voice gentle but clear. The room hushes. She steps toward the center, the crowd parting instinctively. I just want to say how happy I am for you both, she begins, smiling at Lila and David. Her tone is even warm, practiced. It's strange, seeing two people find each other after such unexpected turns. Lila laughs uncertainly. David's eyes flicker. Clara's words slide between politeness and something else, a blade sheathed in velvet. Love, she continues, has a way of circling back, doesn't it? Every heartbeat in the room seems to stumble. The chandelier hums faintly. Even the rain seems to wait. No, girl. Her mother claps lightly, misreading the moment. Isn't she wonderful with words? Marianne says. But Clara doesn't look away. Her gaze fixes on David. Funny thing, she murmurs. I once knew a man who said the same things you just did. About trust, about forever. He even promised to design a home with me one day. The words fall like stones into water. Lila's smile falters. David's glass stills midair. Small world. Clara finishes softly, the faintest quiver of irony tugging at her lips. Gasps ripple. Evelyn's eyes widen from across the room. She knows this isn't a toast anymore. It's testimony. The room holds its breath. David opens his mouth. but no words come. Lila whispers. "What are you saying?" Clara's gaze never wavers. "Only that sometimes love stories overlap," she replies. "Sometimes the happy ending is built on someone else's heartbreak." Silence spreads, heavy and absolute. Rain taps the windows like slow applause. "But don't worry," she adds gently, turning toward her mother. "You finally have something to celebrate." Her voice trembles only once, not with weakness but release. Years of silence burn away in a single, perfect moment. For a long moment, no one moves. Then Clara sets her glass down, its chime echoing through the still air. "Thank you for inviting me," she says quietly, almost tenderly. "It's been illuminating." She turns toward the door, every step measured, graceful. Behind her, murmurs rise. Disbelief, shame, the rustle of shattered illusions. Lila calls her name once, voice breaking, but Clara doesn't turn. The rain greets her like an old friend as she steps into the night, her reflection flickering in the puddled light. Not the woman they mocked, but the one who finally spoke. The porch air cools her skin, but the fire in Clara's chest refuses to dim. Behind her, voices tangle. Lila's tremor, Marianne's command, David's practiced calm. Evelyn steps out, umbrella in hand, eyes searching. "You don't have to go," she whispers. "I know," Clara replies, steady. "But I'm done leaving quietly." She turns, rain stippling her lashes like glittering ash, and walks back in. The room hushes at her re-entry. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. "There's context," she says, moving to the center. She sets her phone on the dessert table, taps the screen. Photos open, an old blueprint signed, "For our home." Day, a ring box, once hers. A date stamp from 3 years ago. Laughter dies completely. The walls seem to inhale. Clara's voice comes like a metronome. Measured, undeniable. 3 years ago, I was engaged. We kept it private. He disappeared a week before we told the family. The photo of a ring fills the screen. The date is a blunt instrument. Gasps tremble along the room's edge. She swipes. Text threads ending mid-sentence, calendar reminders for cake tastings, venue visits, each artifact a tiny gravestone. "He never said goodbye," Clara continues, calmer than she feels. "Then he resurfaced, wearing a tux in my mother's house." Her eyes lift to Lila. "At your wedding." Lila's mouth opens. No sound arrives. David stares at the floor, as if it might swallow him. The past has found its voice, and it's speaking in the present tense. Oh. Silence lengthens until it trembles. David finally speaks, voice thin. "Clara, things were complicated." She tilts her head. "Complicated is a calendar invite for a dress fitting 2 days before you vanished." A murmur rolls. Lila swallows, reaching for certainty that doesn't arrive. "You said she was casual," she whispers to him, and the word collapses under its own weight. Marianne steps forward, brittle authority fraying. "Enough, this is not the time." Clara turns to her, gentle as snowfall. "You raised us to worship appearances. I tried. It devoured me." She breathes, not breaking. "I'm not here to ruin a party. I'm here to return what was stolen." My voice. The chandelier hums. Someone sets down a glass too hard, and the room flinches like a living thing. Evelyn steps closer, a steady harbor. "Clara? Do you want me to read it?" she asks softly. Clara nods. Evelyn holds up the phone and reads a message aloud. "I can't do this to your sister. She needs me more." A wave of recognition passes through faces. This is not mistakable. Lila turns on David, voice almost childlike. You told me she didn't matter. He reaches for her knee. She recoils. Clara's tone never edges to cruelty. I mattered. You both chose convenience. She turns to the guests, her voice a quiet bell. You laughed at my lonely life. It was built from surviving this. The room seems to bow. Decorations droop. Music gone to a heartbeat's hush. Clara exhales, and with it the last of the weight she didn't deserve. I don't want him. I want my name back, she says, and the words settle like law. To Lila she adds, almost tender. You deserved honesty, so did I. She lifts the phone, locks it, slips it away. I'm done auditioning for belonging. Marianne takes a step, then another. Mother, not judge. Eyes wet with something more complicated than pride. Clara, she whispers, but the rest won't come. Evelyn's hand finds Clara's shoulder, light as a vow. The storm quiets to a hush against glass. It isn't triumph that fills the room, but clarity. At last there is nothing left to hide behind. No laughter, no ribbon, no lie. The air inside feels thinner now. The laughter, the music, the performance all gone. What remains is truth, raw and unembellished. Clara stands beneath the chandelier, its light trembling faintly, like a candle in wind. Around her, the room reorganizes itself into silence. No one meets her gaze. Lila stares down at her hands as if the answers might be written in her palms. David looks older suddenly, stripped of his confidence. Marianne tries to speak, but her words break before they form. Clara isn't angry anymore. She's simply done. The dignity she's built from pain stands taller than any apology could reach. When Evelyn touches her arm, Clara finally exhales. Slow, final, free. Clara. Marianne begins again, but her voice trembles, thin as thread. You could have told us. Clara turns to her slowly. I tried, she says. Calm, not cruel. You just didn't want to hear me when it wasn't convenient. The words aren't an accusation. They're a diagnosis. Marianne lowers her eyes, and for once, the mother who built her world from perfect images sees the cracks in her own reflection. Lila whispers, I didn't know. Voice barely sound. Clara nods once. Not forgiveness, but acknowledgement. The room exhales with her, fragile and trembling, as though every person inside has aged 10 years in a single night. Guests begin to murmur, their discomfort tangible. One by one, they collect coats, muttering apologies that aren't meant for anyone specific. The party collapses in slow motion. Someone clears plates that no one touched. A balloon pops softly, startling the silence. Clara watches the unraveling with detached grace. The same decor that mocked her now droops, defeated. Lila still hasn't moved. Evelyn gives Clara a small nod toward the door, but Clara hesitates, looking once more at her sister. The same girl she used to share secrets with, laughter with. Her voice is quiet when she says, You'll be fine. Just be honest next time. Lila's tears spill soundlessly. Outside, the rain slows to a drizzle, soft against the roof. Clara steps out first, Evelyn following close. The sound of the door closing behind them feels like punctuation. The end of a sentence too long, delayed. Clara doesn't look back. How do you feel? Evelyn asks quietly. Clara's answer comes after a moment, lighter. They walk toward the car, heels tapping against wet pavement. From inside the house, faint voices rise. Confusion, regret, the start of consequences that are no longer hers to bear. Clara tilts her face toward the sky. Raindrops slide along her jaw like absolution. For the first time in years, she doesn't flinch. They reach the car, but don't get in immediately. Clara leans against the door, looking back at the house. Not with longing, but closure. You did it. Evelyn murmurs. No, Clara says, a faint smile touching her lips. I finally stopped apologizing for existing. The thunder clouds break apart overhead, revealing a thin crescent moon. It isn't triumph that fills her. It's peace, the kind that comes when truth no longer needs defense. She opens the car door and glances once more at the glowing windows of the home she's outgrown. The music inside restarts, faint and hollow. Clara drives away, headlights carving a clean path through the wet night. Morning unfolds pale and new over the city skyline. Clara wakes to silence, the kind that feels earned. No calls from family, no noise from the past, just the hum of the world continuing. She sits by her window, wrapped in a cream shawl, coffee in hand. The streets glisten from last night's storm, sunlight glancing off puddles like gold dust. The ache still lingers, but it's softer now. A scar rather than a wound. She scrolls through her messages. Evelyn's text, proud of you. Another from an unknown number, unsent words visible in the preview, deleted before they reached her. She smiles faintly. For the first time, peace doesn't feel like absence. It feels like arrival. Later that afternoon, Clara meets Evelyn at a small cafe tucked between bookstores. The air smells of coffee and wet leaves. They talk, not about last night, but about plans. Work, the quiet shape of what's next. You don't owe them silence anymore, Evelyn says. Clara nods. Or explanation. She adds. Laughter comes easily, natural as breathing. Outside the window, life goes on. People hurry past, umbrellas tilt, clouds drift. For the first time in years, Clara doesn't feel like she's watching from behind glass. She's part of it. Messy, beautiful, real. When they part, Evelyn hugs her tight and whispers, "You did the brave thing." Clara answers, "No, I just finally did the true thing." That evening, Clara walks through the park she and Lila used to visit as children. Autumn leaves shimmer gold under the last rays of sun. She pauses by their favorite bench, names carved into the wood, laughter from another life echoing faintly. She sits, fingers tracing the grooves of her younger self's handwriting. The air smells of damp earth and endings. She closes her eyes, not to escape but to remember without pain. The ghosts of old expectations drift away with the wind. Somewhere in the distance, a child's laughter breaks the quiet. Clara smiles, small and genuine. The world, once sharp-edged, feels soft again. Days turn to weeks. The family reaches out in cautious fragments. An email from Marianne, hesitant apologies wrapped in formality. A photo from Lila of the newborn, captioned her name's Clara. She reads it twice, breath-catching. Not for forgiveness, not for validation, but for the strange, poetic symmetry of it all. Pain had turned to distance, distance to understanding. Sometimes redemption doesn't arrive with trumpets. It arrives in small, trembling gestures. Clara doesn't reply immediately. Instead, she sets the phone down, touches the photo once, and lets the quiet acceptance settle deep in her bones. Months later, Clara stands on the rooftop of a new building she designed. A glass curve, reflecting sunrise. She watches light spill over the city, knowing it was born from nights like that one. Dark, cleansing, necessary. Her story is no longer about betrayal or loss. It's about reclamation. The laughter that once mocked her now belongs to the past. She breathes deep, filling her lungs with air that feels like promise. Evelyn's voice echoes from the stairwell below. "You coming?" Clara turns, smiling, sunlight catching her eyes. "Yeah," she says softly, finally.